What is up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Live Logs presented by Scores and Odds. If you haven't checked it out already, just making bad life choices, going over to scoresandodds.com where you got picks from me, Meansy, this piece of crap right here. Plus, you get access to our nice little prop shopping tool where you can see exactly what we have projected for each individual prop, plus where the best lines at. And most importantly, you get access to Grant's Action Lounge. What is Grant's Action Lounge? Well, it's my Discord where I'm throwing in all my picks each and every day so you can get them in before the lines end up moving. Just go to scoresandodds.com / I can't remember. Oh, gosh. Discord. Oh, man. Just full on.
I feel like I can wake you up in the middle of the night, like 3 a.m, and like say, give me your opening to Scores and Odds. And I think you can do that. I'm shocked you stumbled there. It's a Friday, so we're grading the curve, I suppose.
I mean, it's just because my mind got distracted. Someone asked me, do you use units when betting, or how do you decide how much to bet? If you watch the show, I bet what they will let me bet. That's how much I bet, is how much the websites will let me bet. It could be anywhere from some of them down to $5, some all the way up to $500 over on Caesars, which why Caesars has not cut me off, I have no idea. Yeah, it says on this show I'm only up 7K, but realistically I'm up like 50. That's beside the point. We got betting, Daniel. How are you doing today?
Licking my wounds after yesterday. You know, we take our victory laps when we get them, but not a good day for your boy. The Bucks, man, I can't believe that the amongst the starters for the Bucks, I believe Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton were the 4th and 5th leading scorers.
Mm-hmm. I mean, who was number 3? It was Brolo, it was Portis, and who was 3rd?
Grayson Allen.
Oh, yeah.
They all scored more than Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday, possibly combined.
Yeah, that was rough. I mean, I was on the Bridges alt overs, and then it came out that like they were just gonna F me. Played the entire first quarter, and everyone's like, "Oh, maybe he'll get there." I'm like, I don't think he's coming back in, and sure enough, he did not come back in.
Explain that one, Grant, because I know it's a different show and whatever, and like, you know, obviously there's nothing you could do on that one. And that news came out. The news came out in Bridges that the coach basically said he's probably not going to play his normal minutes, which, like, they clearly had a plan. Their plan was he's going to play the first quarter, and that's that. He didn't even come out for the start of the second half. The start of the second half, they started with 5 scrubs. Also weird that like they didn't give Cam Thomas a good bit of run. Like he got a reasonable amount of run, but like Patty Mills played 30 plus minutes, and a couple of their G League guys were playing a ton of minutes. The whole thing was strange. But like if you're gonna sit guys, and they gave guys fake injuries yesterday, they gave them some rest too. Like some actually might be beat up a little bit, but like Claxton and Dinwiddie, Cam Thomas, all sat. Why would you not just sit Bridges? Like, what's the point? What do you get out of playing him 12 minutes, no more, no less? That was the plan. What is the point of that? I don't understand. Just sit everyone. Give everybody a day. Why not?
I mean, I'm trying to figure this out. I'm checking. Do the Nets actually own their 2023 pick?
I'm not sure. I mean, they're currently, I believe, in the 6th spot for what it's worth as far as the playoffs. I think that's what they're at right now. Yeah, they're currently in the 6th. They have a couple of games on Miami in the 7. They have a couple of games. They're a couple of games behind New York. So as of right now, they're pretty well into the 6th spot. 6 is distinctly better than 7 because, of course, 7 is when the play-in nonsense starts. I mean, the other part of it, of course, is like maybe they're realistic and they realize we're not going anywhere. Like we're not going to beat Milwaukee or Boston or Philadelphia or Cleveland, whoever they play in the first round. They're going to get walloped. That's just how it's going to go. They might put up a fight. There's some good defensive players there, but they're just outgunned. That's just how it goes. You're suggesting that they can fall back. They can't fall out of the playoffs. Well, I mean, they can fall out of the play-in stuff, I guess. Let's see. There's 6 games in front of Washington, who's in the 10 spot. So they're just sort of a no man's land, if that's the thought process. I believe last night was the start of 3 and 4 nights. Today, of course, is the back half of a back-to-back, and I want to say they play on Sunday as well. So I assume that's what inspired it. But again, if you're going to map out, like, okay, let's rest some of our players, how is, like, the optimal strategy? Let's rest 3 of our guys, and let's play our best player 12 minutes? Why? Okay,
I don't know.
that's my rant. I don't get it. Please explain it to me.
I mean, Bridges is on the longest active streak of most consecutive played games, so that's why. But why play him 12 minutes? Why not play him 9 minutes? So that's the thought process behind Bridges. All the other normal starters got rested fully, but Bridges played. That's the reason why. But I don't know. I'm going right back to the well tonight. But let's just go ahead and get right into picks. First off, we got Portland versus Philly. I keep hitting maxi overs, and I keep making money. I'm not stopping now. It's already moved to 21.5 over at FanDuel, which is generally a good indicator that the line's a little bit too low. Minus 115 on over 20.5 at DraftKings. We currently have them projected for 22.63. It's moved to minus 135 over on DK. Now you can still get it at minus 115 at MGM, so that's good. But yeah, Maxi is playing close to 40 minutes every night. It's a solid matchup versus Portland. Philly has a massive implied team total. I'm rolling with Maxi's over.
Yeah, I like it. He's the one guy that can actually, usurp usage in a particular game over James Harden and over Embiid, or at least close to, and compete with those guys. As far as the rest of the team, everybody else is pretty passive. Yeah, I like that call. And like you said, Maxi, we're projecting him for 36 minutes tonight. Pretty tight rotations out of Philadelphia these days. And, he's in the starting lineup. I don't assume that's changing anytime soon. For sure. He's going to be shooting a fair bit. Simmons might come back, and the other Simons. Andrelton Simmons. That's a baseball player.
Anthony Simons.
Anthony Simons. I'm watching baseball. I'm excited about baseball season coming around the corner. And I don't know why I'm thinking of the shortstop, Andrelton Simmons, who I'm not even sure if he's still in baseball or still on a team. I think he's playing somewhere in the World Baseball Classic, though. Maybe that's where I saw the name. But, derailing the show. I apologize. But, yeah, I like that. Maxi can absolutely put 30 points in the bucket, and I like those alts. And like you said, the numbers have been creeping up a bit. I don't love a lot in this slate. This slate is pretty gross. It's really short, too. Only 6 games for a Friday night, which is kind of thin. But I do like that wager.
Yeah, and then on the other side, I have Dame over 32.5 points. I got it minus 120 over at Bet Maverick, which is a real place. You can get it at 33.5. I still don't mind it at that. I mean, it's a high line, but Dame has been fantastic. I mean, Simon's coming back, could end up
help him
eating into his usage a little bit, but Dame's going to shoot. Dame's going to shoot the ball. He's going to shoot the ball a lot. I mean, he didn't hit in the last game, but that was a complete blowout. He would have hit otherwise. He's hit the over at this number in 4 of the last 5, something like that. 3 of the last 5. He's just got to keep shooting. And if this game stays close, he hits the over. It's that simple.
Yeah, you have to assume if the game is somehow close, and we're looking at like a 10-point line or so right now, it's because Dame is doing his thing. It's most likely not because Matisse Thybulle is making a bunch of threes. So, I don't mind it, but it is worth noting the Anthony Simons is currently questionable. We haven't seen him in a while, so I assume if he comes back, he's probably on some sort of minutes limit. He would also, I would imagine, hurt Cam Reddish, who's been playing really well for what it's worth. Late round bloomer, whatever you want to call it. He's former lottery pick. Guy was drawing DMP CDs with New York and Atlanta. His third team in, I think, a calendar year, I want to say. It feels like it. He's been playing really, really well in his absence, and I guess that Simons would hurt him most directly. If you're considering Reddish, I would hold off on that because Simons may come back tonight. That's all I got for you as far as this game.
Yep, and something to note, if you're in Colorado, Sports Illustrated Sportsbook, you can still get Lillard over 32.5 at minus 118. They're pretty slow on the lines. They have full on ban me. I can't even get $200 down on a spread bet, which is how you're just like spread bets. If they're not letting you get $200 down, you're just done for there.
Why can't you get a spread bet? That's so weird.
I don't know. I don't even think I made money on that site. It's just my closing line value on every bet was just through the fudging roof. So it is what it is. Luckily, I have a buddy who can play on Sports Illustrated, so I might be sending bets his way. Let's put it that way.
There you
Next
go.
game, we got Atlanta going up against Washington. I've got nothing. I don't mind the Trae Young over PRA. It's not bad. I don't mind Kuzma over 3.5 assists. It's solid. I don't mind Porzingis under 2.5 3-pointers made. It's all right, but nothing's worth it enough to me here.
Two teams that are fully healthy. You look at their injury report, there's nothing, which is interesting, right? Atlanta and Washington, this time of year is usually somebody kind of beat up, somebody that's questionable. Nope. Both teams, as of right now, are fully healthy, and it is also worth noting this is a rematch of a game that went down on Wednesday. Surprisingly, Trae Young, I think, only took like 14 shots, but he was super efficient. If he does shoot a little bit more, I think there's some room to grow on that. Porzingis was awesome in that game too, but I kind of agree with you too. I think this game is sort of fine. I don't have any real leans. Like there's nothing that's standing out to me. It's something I feel like I have to grab. But yeah, it's John Collins. Interesting. He got a little bit extended run of late. And in that last game, him and Sadiq Bey have been kind of battling for the close as far as the fifth man in for Atlanta. I think Collins won out last time. I thought that was interesting because John Collins has been kind of horrific this year. Not very good. It's been a couple of years, like every year they're threatening to trade him and he wants a lot of money. Whatever, sure, why not? I understand, but it feels like his value has plummeted in the last year or two. New coach there, obviously, for Atlanta. We did see Collins get the close. I don't know if he's going to close tonight. Same matchup, so maybe he does. But just
the lines have adjusted. It was at 9.5 the other night, and I hit the over at 9.5, and it smashed. Obviously, I think I had 8 in the first quarter, but it's all the way up to 11.5. Uncertainty about his minutes. You're right, so I'm staying away.
Yeah, It's go ahead.
I got nothing in Cleveland, Miami. This is, I think, the least amount of bets I've had per game on any of these shows.
So there's 6 games tonight. 2 of the 6 games are rematches from games that happened on Wednesday. This is the other one, Miami versus Cleveland. Miami and Cleveland, as far as pace this year, they are 2 of the 3 slowest teams. 96 possessions for Cleveland, 96 and a little bit higher decimal point for Miami. They played that game on Wednesday. It played at a pace of, I believe, 94. So the matchup between, not surprisingly, matchup between Cleveland and Miami would have been the very clearly, like if that was extrapolated over the entire season, the lowest pace, if that was a for the entire year. It was 2 possessions lower than where Cleveland is at. And Cleveland, of course, is the lowest in the league. It's 2 good defensive teams as well. Cleveland, the best defensive team. Miami, I believe, is number 7 as of right now as far as defensive efficiency. It's hard to get the overs. Cleveland did play a really tight rotation. They are going to play a tight rotation. You have that Kevin Love. He had his revenge game, his first blood revenge game, kind of uneventful. I believe he went 8 for 8. I don't think he closed either. One thing to monitor, of course, is that Garland is questionable. And I don't know if there's probably nothing out there as far as props on Cleveland anyway, because that would be a huge domino effect. Karis LeVert, I presume, would draw the start, and he would be
for daily props out on Cleveland. I almost hit the over on Mitchell points, -110 at 27.5. Over at MGM is still not a bad bet. I can't bet at MGM, and I'm not taking it -125. So if you want to bet that, I'm fine with that. If you have MGM and you're not limited there, I don't hate that bet.
Wait, I'm sorry. You said there are lines out there in Cleveland right now?
Yep.
Garland wasn't at shoot around either. So there's a chance. I think there's a decent chance. You never really know, obviously. It is, I think it was a midday downgrade.
That's generally a bad sign.
I want to say that news dropped. Let's see. It's a quad, which, quads you don't really want to push as a general rule. Didn't go through a shoot around. He has the quad as of 2 hours ago. I think if you can get some Cleveland overs, I mean, obviously, again, the matchup's not great, but more usage, more shots will be delegated Mitchell's way. If you can somehow get LeVert, which I can't imagine you can get LeVert props right now, but if they're anywhere near his season average, I think it's an interesting, or just like a ladder. You could do a ladder of some sort. But again, I don't think that's anywhere available right now. It wouldn't make any sense. But that's all I got for you. First to 100 wins in this game. If anybody gets to 100, you win.
Yep. Brooklyn, Minnesota. Like I said, whole bunch of nonsense going on last night. I'm rolling with Bridges over 24.5 plus 100 at Betfred. You can get it -105 at most other places. He's just been so good. I have to assume he's getting a full complement of minutes, and I have to assume he's going to be the usage guy like he has been almost every night. 30 points in games where he's actually played a full complement of minutes for the last 5. I don't hate the alt overs. I'm rolling with his regular over because I'm scarred from last night and much poorer. I'm rolling with that. And then I also have the under of Conley, 11.5 points, minus 115 at DK.
It's 27.8% usage for Bridges, his new role here in Brooklyn, coming from Phoenix, where he was, third or fourth guy on the court as far as usage. And he's stepped up. He's been fabulous. And Minnesota this season, top 5 team as far as pace. So, going to get a few extra shots up as well. And we're assuming that goofiness will not happen as far as Brooklyn. You never know. They do have a lot of guys that are like professional basketball players that they can, just sort of work in their rotation. But he, by default, if you want to say it, but Bridges is their alpha. I think Dinwiddie's interesting too. But, and then, obviously they have a bunch of like 3-and-D guys like Royce O'Neal and DFS, Dorian Finney-Smith. I assume Claxton's going to come back tonight as well. Cam Johnson missed yesterday. And, the G League guys that played yesterday, you cannot imagine unless something really, really goofy happens. They might even send them back for all I know. Maybe they're still lurking. I'm not really sure. Yeah, I think they might have sent them back down to the G League. But, man, that was a lesson learned with Brooklyn. And you're right, by the way. That's a good call as far as Bridges. I didn't realize – I was thinking Looney was the guy with the biggest extension streak as far as games played. I think he's there, but I think Bridges is the number 1 guy in the league, and that makes total sense. Like Bridges probably said, "Let me get some run just so I can keep this thing going." Their agent, some people care about such things, and sure, there's something to be said for durability. It is a nice thing to have, especially
they're not going anywhere, so like risking injury for 12 minutes not really a big deal.
I guess, yeah. That kind of makes sense now. The Bridges thing, it's silly, but I understand why it happened now. That's a good answer you gave me, so I'm satisfied.
Yep. Next game, Denver versus San Antonio. Denver, one of the best teams in the league, going up against San Antonio, one of the worst with the worst defense. Worried about a blowout here, but I still think these lines are too good. MPJ over 16.5 points, minus 117. It's minus 115 over at DK. Jokic over 22.5 points, minus 115 at Betway. I think he has /DK. I think he has a big game. And then one of my favorite bets, Sochan over 11.5 points. You can get this at minus 115 at Betley. I guess someone told me. But other than that, minus 115 or minus 125 now, it looks like at FanDuel. If you want, you can take it at 12.5. You can get the over at minus 109 over at Caesars. Sochan's been fantastic recently. Been hitting this over a pretty consistent clip. I think 4 straight, 5 straight. I'm rolling with that over, but MPJ has been 20 plus in like 5 of the last 7 games. Jokic hasn't been hitting this, but it's against San Antonio. Who's going to stop him?
Zach Collins, probably not. No, I don't think so. Gorgie Jang, probably not going to get any run at all. Charles Bassey, the backup 5. No, I don't think anybody's going to slow him down. Jokic has slowed down a little bit since the All-Star break, so for what it's worth. I saw Andy Means writing about that in the Roto-Grinders expert survey. Obviously he's still spectacular. The matchup is great. You mentioned San Antonio being the worst defensive team in the league. That is true according to defensive efficiency. They're distinctly worse than even Houston. They're worse by almost 1.5 points. And then pace-wise, they play fast too. So they're top 7 in pace on the season. Of course, Denver, not especially fast. Most of their games they play are up in pace. And you mentioned the potential blowout. The thing that kind of keeps Denver from blowing teams out is their second unit stinks. So like whenever they're ahead by 15 or 20, they seem to just sort of give those back just enough to bring back Jokic. And I know what is a 13-point line on the road. That's a really good sign that the team is terrible if you're getting 13 at home. San Antonio is, I want to say, about as healthy as they've been in a while, right? Like even McDermott's available, Sohan's available. By the way, Sohan, it rhymes with Zohan. Remember Zohan, your favorite Adam Sandler movie? There you go.
It's a good one.
And Trey Jones. What's that?
It's a good movie.
I feel like you'd like it. I don't know if it's your top 5 or top 3 Sandler movie, but I figure that's something right. It's right up your alley. But yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if Denver like plays down the competition and wins this game by like 12 or something like that. Or I guess 12 isn't like by 6, but it's like a 5-point game with 5 minutes to go.
Yeah. I've got absolutely nothing in the Lakers game. I mean, I've thought about hitting, and I still don't hate total over 24.5 PRA. Probably going to need some extended run with Vanderbilt and Davis in there. And I don't hate Beasley over 12.5 points. It's not a terrible line. I know he hasn't been hitting that, but he should get the usage. Not an awful line.
How much does it hurt Beasley that Russell's coming back tonight?
Hurts him a little bit, but it's 12.5 is still not a bad line.
You mentioned Pirtle. Pirtle played 32 minutes versus Denver. Big boy on the other side, and Jokic. They might have him match minutes with Davis, right? I think he's interesting, And then they, for whatever reason, went out and traded for Pirtle, and maybe they'll sign him in the offseason and extend him. I don't totally get it, but they like him is the point, and they're giving him some run. Played 30+ minutes in 3 of his last 4. I think he's interesting. I don't know if the numbers are fully adjusted to it. I wouldn't say the matchup's great. Of course, there's some potential foul trouble with Davis on the other side. I like Freddie a little bit, FVV.
I thought about hitting his over 20.5 points.
Did you happen to catch his rant the other night by chance?
No.
They played against the Clippers, and obviously they didn't travel. They've been in LA. Played against the Clippers a couple days ago, staying in the same arena here. And he was not happy with the ref. Got a technical, and it was really, really good. Like, he got his money's worth. They only fined him $30K. I thought they might suspend him. He was basically saying that this guy's got like a vendetta against him, cursing about it. It's worth checking out. And I think we got a bounce back game from Freddie here against the Lakers. The Lakers, of course, play really fast. I think they're the fastest paced team in the last 15 games. Looking at that before the show, they're good defensively of late. To the Lakers, for what it's worth. But it balances out, and more possessions. And of course, Toronto is they're still jockeying. They're still playing. They're currently in the 9 spot. Ideally, I'm sure they'd want to move up to the 7. They probably can't get to the 6. They're 5 games behind Brooklyn, but the 7 spot you would host a play-in game. So I think they would be. They're still trying. It's kind of the point, despite the fact that again they're a lame duck team. Eventually, they're going to get caught by somebody, but the effort's there. And you're going to give me 36, 37, 38 potentially minutes against the Lakers. I think Freddie bounces back tonight. So, he's one of my, on a slate where there's just not a lot to love, he's one of my favorite players this evening.
Yeah. That's all I got. Ugly slate.
It's really bad.
Yeah. Is what it is. That's all we got. Anything before we get on out of here?
I got nothing else, Grant. I just I've been looking at this slate for the last couple of hours, and I'm trying to find something I like or even love, or it's not a lot. I mean, it's pretty gross. Things might change. Stay tuned. It's the association. The big one, of course, Karis LeVert possibly can become a thing for Cleveland if we get Garland ruled out. And like you said, if you can bet Mitchell overs right now, that's probably interesting. But there is a risk reward to it. Of course, the matchup is bad, but if Garland doesn't go, we could see, Mitchell just get all the usage.
Yep. And again, if you have MGM, you're not limited there. Then minus 115 on over 27.5. Not a bad bet. Well, that's the show. That's it. Back again Monday. We're out of here.